Okay, hello. We had a quick tech thing, got confused. Here we are. I was here, then I was gone. Now I'm back. Thanks for tuning in. Kate's going to be in just a second, and we're going to talk to you today about why the self-study program is the length of time that it is. And maybe you've noticed it's a 9-month program. And but most importantly, we're going to talk about how that relates to getting unstuck, right? Like, how does time or like commitment to length of time, hi again, April, how does that relate to getting unstuck? And so, I'm gonna wait for Kate to get in here. I just taught a really fun class here at my studio. If you haven't practiced with us at Shakti, your first 2 weeks online are free, and I would love to have you. There's Kate.
Hi, Ruby.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm pretty good.
You look hot and sweaty.
Yes, yes, yes.
Hi, April.
I just taught a really fun class. I'm gonna lay down.
Great. Yes, do it.
Yeah.
Good. I thought it was fun. Miss April, so thrilled that you're joining us for the 2021 cohort of the self-study. Thrilled.
So thrilled.
So thrilled. Um, yeah, just really looking for, whoa. There we go. Really looking forward to it. Really am.
Kate, your hair looks extra alive today.
Thank you. I
Ooh,
have
it's a
on,
headband.
yeah, so like normally when I wash my hair, I just like, and then today I was like, okay, okay.
Cute.
Like, look at how fluffy she can get.
Love that.
You already know.
Love the headband. I bought a $2 sparkly hair clip at Kroger yesterday, so I'm excited. Yes,
Cute.
it's like rhinestones.
So maybe I've gotten you something which I cannot wait to bring to you when I come down to Athens on Friday. Also, speaking of that, we are going to go live with our dear friend Robin Henderson Espinoza on Sunday, like sometime mid-morning. What I love about Robin is that they actively do not set an alarm and they wake up when they wake up. And
And
I
we
love
will
that
do
about
live
them.
when we do live.
We will do live when we do live on Sunday. Um, okay, so today though, we want to talk about some feedback, right? Some feedback that we've always gotten is like everywhere you look, people are wanting to do some sort of like 3-day thing, 6 weeks of this, maximum 8 weeks. Oh my God, heaven forbid if it's like a 12-week program. And we're like, yep, okay, 9 months. Ta-da, sign up. And people are like, the fuck? I can't even commit to like a 3-day thing. How do you think I'm supposed to commit to 9 months? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Like, really specifically, like, why the 9 months? Um, And our main one is because the self-work is important and it cannot be done in 3 days. Like it cannot be
Right,
like
like one of the biggest lessons of being in relationship with yourself is that you have your whole life to be with yourself. So while it would be nice if all of these promises people give us of like 30 days to a healthier you, or like 3 tips to changing your whole life, or whatever, it's just a gimmick. And the truth of the matter is you have to be with yourself your whole life. So you better get used to being in relationship with yourself for more than 3 days.
hmm
And
yeah,
same with each other too, right? So it's like community isn't something you just like, okay, so quick story. I have a good friend who I've realized only really calls me when they're in crisis mode, which is kind of like needing like the 3-day fix. And what I experience from that exchange is like not connection or community. And so we have the choice, right, when it comes to self-work, to wait till something kind of like fucks up, or like we can't take it anymore and go into crisis mode, and we only call our community or ask for help when we're in crisis mode. And then they're like, that Ruby, she just always needs something. Or we kind of like put our feet on the ground every day, and it's an exchange. It's a cycle. I love what you sent me from Bear this week about like cycles in productivity and what a feminine form practice of work that is. And that's part of why 9 months. And, you know, we didn't even think about that. And, you know, like you just sent me that video. If you don't follow Bear, they are an anti-capitalist educator.
And also like a coach.
And coach, yes. And I've learned so much from them. We quote them in the Shakti value section of our website because they were integral for me in putting all the values of my business together. Anyway, that's a side note. Bear, go follow them after you watch
It's
this
not
live.
a side note, Ruby. That is what we're talking about, right? Like this is the self-work that you did and that then you implemented into your business. Then you implement it into the team of every single person that works for you, and your self-work now also impacts every single person who walks into your studio and gets a particular whatever sort of package they buy or whatever sort of thing they sign up for. That's because you put this like intention behind this.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is not a random side note, Ruby.
Thank you.
That is anti what every single, oh, not every single, but like most businesses that I've ever engaged with. It is really hard to be a business owner and go, can I do this ethically? So,
Thank you.
mhm.
Thank you.
And thank you for having the courage to do that, even though that's not always the most profitable way of doing things. And okay, and then so it's not always like the fun way to do things. Like what sounds really fun to me is if we, and okay, so let's couple this with, and also, did you look at the notes? The notes, our note? Okay. So Ruby and I had a call this morning, and then I was like, yeah, I'm going to take some notes. So the step number, my ninth reason that I wrote down. And also, can you tell me Bear's last name again?
Bear.
Bear. Okay.
Herbert.
Okay, Bear.
Can I finish what I was saying about it real quick though?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Okay. Because I'm just drawing this parallel. So Bear talks about like this feminine form view of productivity, which is cyclical, versus like the patriarchal view, which is like project driven. We didn't even consider this, but like, you know, 9 months is a very feminine form number. It's like how long it takes to birth a person.
And to grow and birth. Yes. Wow. How feminine energy of us.
Growing and birthing ourselves.
Yep. Wow. I love thinking about it like that. God. And then like think about where you were at 9 months ago, where I was at 9 months ago.
Oh my God.
Wild. I love that.
Okay. The ninth thing you wrote.
Okay. Yesterday, Bear put it this way. Patriarchy loves a fire short-term project that you dive into, you complete, and then you celebrate the completion of it. We tend to devalue long-lasting projects. Because, and they say we've historically feminized them, like doing the dishes every single day, sending weekly marketing emails, human care work. They call it human care work. And what we are courageously offering with this 2021 self-study program is a commitment to community, a commitment to accountability, and a commitment that's a commitment that you're making to yourself. And then our commitment is also the same, to show up with like vulnerably as ourselves, like we get to do now. You know, like we're not here to give you the 9 answers. Like you're not going to get one answer each month to like fix the thing and then be done with this. This is a process. And I I know that us wanting to do this and doing it in like 9 months, like we know that there's going to be pushback on that. We know that that's a hard thing to like sign up for and commit to, and we know that because like we've done it before. Like one of the teacher trainings that I've done was a very like, how long did it take me to get through that? Maybe 14 or 15 months, and it was the one of the most transformative studies that I've done for myself.
Okay, yeah, and something I want to point to there is like the word study, right? To study something is to be in consistent curiosity. Think about how long people research something before they come out with an answer for it. And then they're still researching it, right? That is what it means to study. So you are studying yourself. You can't do that in a month. It's this, and then like something else that comes up with what we're speaking to here is like how patriarchal and masculine it is, of like, that's where like diet culture comes from. Like, do this diet and you'll change your body in 30 days, or do this workout 3 times a week and you'll change your body in 3 weeks, or whatever
And
it
then you'll
is.
be happy and then you'll be done.
And so like what I appreciate really about I feel like when I think about it now, like we've been in pursuit of really everything like feminine form, and the way that we've like developed and grown our businesses have been very feminine form. I have an Ayurveda training that is very feminine form. We've taken, we were both kind of like originally yoga trained in a more masculine way, but we've taken that and femininified it.
Feminified it. Yeah, like I own a gym. Gyms are traditionally like great places for toxic masculinity to thrive. And I've gone like, hey, no more. Like as a woman who wants to occupy this space, I'm gonna occupy this space in a different way because this is what is right for me. And um like a lot of things come up because of that. Like it's very counter. I would say it's actually extremely intuitive, but it's counterculture to pay for something where you're like, well, what's the result? What am I going to get out of this?
Mm-hmm.
And then Ruby and I are going, well, you're going to get deeper access to yourself. And then the cool thing and the very feminine thing and a challenging part to digest, like opposite it's in line with like the current status quo of like power dynamics. Like the question for us then becomes, so then Kate and Ruby, what are you going to give to me? And it's like this stuff is already in you. It's already there. We're going to maybe use the tools that we have cultivated and studied and are learning and are implementing, and offer them to you
Yeah,
to
and
use and study and learn.
hold the space for your own study and discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Hold a feminine form space for that. And I think about, this like feminine form concept, and how, like what the feminine teaches us inherently and intuitively is that there are cycles and seasons. And what you will not get out of a 1 month program is a scope of applying practices throughout cycles and seasons. But from a 9 month program, what I know to be true is every 9 months is like a long enough time that I have a full scope of life experience during that time, and that there will be like plenty of time for you to implement and practice and receive and study. And so like I taught on this in my class today, a little bit of like you're here and that's something. So like showing up to study yourself, like the fact that you sign up and you're present is something. Like something is happening because you're here, instead of this mindset of I need to get over there. And there's so much joy, right? Like that's like the practice of yoga is a practice of presence for awareness, for liberation, which is so very different than this, like, I'm going to get from here to here and then I will be liberated.
Mm-hmm.
There's no joy there.
Mm-mm. Yeah, like, what does Brene Brown have to say about like showing up and letting ourselves be seen?
Courage.
Courage. Yeah, and like what 9 months does. Okay, so and then here's another note that I made today is like, um, relationships take time. And part of the important part of this program that we've been really intentional about is how important it is to have, and we keep using this language of container, but part of what happens in that container is relationship building. And in a way that helps you understand yourself better. And those things take time. So there's the time part as in holding the container of relationships, and then there's also the time part that takes creating the relationship with yourself. Those things take time. And so say like, I even think like I mean, probably like sometime last week, I was probably talking about some fight I was in with my roommate. And like, so sometimes, like, the argument starts and it's about one thing. Like, you think it's about this one thing. And then, kind of, as you like sit with it and spend time with that thing, you understand more deeply what this conversation is about. And then you're able to have a deeper conversation about the thing because you've given it time and space to breathe.
Yeah. Yeah. And the reality is, we could serve you up everything we know in a 30-day packet and then kick you out on your own. But that's not the kind of work that we choose to be up to. We choose to be up to work that invests in community and relationship building and
Mm-hmm.
space to study. And like, I mean, I'm really proud of this, and there's like something to be said about the fact, Kate, that like you and I, we just like, we really choose to create things that align with our gut of like what we know to be true, even if it's a different way of doing things, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like we get very frustrated about like trying to sell what we offer because of like marketing. And like, I get it. Like, if I told you I would give you a secret in 2 weeks, I would sign up for it too.
Totally.
And what we all know is like, that's not
Mm-hmm.
real. And we want to offer something that's real.
Mm-hmm.
This is real. It's an
Yeah.
invitation into something that is real.
And so much of what marketing is doing is like hacking the consumer psychology or whatever. And I do not want to hack anything. I don't want to sell you something that you don't want. I don't want to sell you something that isn't impactful. And while I do not think that I mean, we definitely have led, 3, 4 day retreats that have been impactful in their own way, for sure.
But
And
even that is different, right? Like, even that, it's a different kind of container.
totally, yes, yeah. And like, what would be fun, Ruby, is that if we had somebody from Heartfelt join us for a live one day.
Yeah, I would love that.
Let's do it. Okay. Yeah, because we can talk about like how would a 9 month container for them have been impactful?
Yeah, and even though
Mhm.
I think about the retreats that we've led and how I'm sure there are plenty of people who, when we talk to them about it, would be like, yeah, I didn't know I was gonna get into all that in like 2.5 days. It was a lot.
Mhm.
And so that's something that I think that we've both stepped into as leaders also, is like softening. And with
Mhm.
softness comes more space, and with more space comes more time. And we have to slow down in order to really like lean into that.
Mhm.
So that like you get, over the course of a 9 month program, you get to digest what we're offering you with our support and with the support of each other, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to, and this is like just the very like normal culture way of doing things, consume and never digest, right? So we like consume, and we're like, why haven't I like gotten any better, or like better or like, why can't I figure this out? And it's because like we don't slow down to digest and process.
Mm-hmm.
And the self-study program is an opportunity for that to unfold for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a big piece of it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because all right, the internet, everything is accessible. You could find all of this on your own. You are doing that on Instagram. You are consuming so much information, and how much of that is really sinking in and getting applied into your day-to-day life? I know for me it's like not very much, and really
And
like
even like
none if I didn't have relationships and
totally.
therapy and my own practices off of the screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Consumption doesn't equal output, which is the opposite of what we've been taught.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the same thing with like relationship building. We're not building actual relationships on the internet. Like, yes, I think there's a beautiful piece of, oh, I connected with this person on the internet, but like the real connection comes from when you're with them, when you actually connect off of the internet, when real time is spent.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, one thing I wrote down on our list today, which you just covered, is time to implement new practices and see if they're right for you. Like one thing that I would have really loved from maybe my very first teacher training that I ever did was like same. It was like so much content, so much work, so much deep dive, and then it was like then it felt like laser focus on the thing, and then it was like, okay, you're done. And then I was like, oh, what? And then it was like, how do I plug these pieces in? How do I? And it would have been really, really impactful for me if I had had um, like some guidance and some like back and forth conversation about like, hey, how is this going? What's this like for you? Because then I get to go like, okay, well, all this shame has come up around this thing, and then it's like, okay, cool, yeah, I get that. That happened for me also, and it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna move through this, and it's like, oh yeah, totally, and it makes sense that you're at where you're at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's like something special that gets to happen when you're in a relationship with people or in a group dynamic with people where something gets offered, everyone tries it on, and then there's something really cool that happens when someone says, that didn't work for me.
Yep,
Cool, I don't expect it to work for everyone. Now let's talk about that. And then someone else who wouldn't have spoken up first is like, yeah, it also didn't work for me, and I thought I was weird
totally,
or
yes,
broken.
yes, yeah. Wow. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. What else does Brene Brown say about shame? Shame can't survive when.
Uh-huh. Vulnerability. Like shame can't survive. Oh, when we hear each other's stories. Something
Sure.
about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. When we hear each other's stories. Yeah.
Yeah, and something else about like the program being let me rearrange. The program being 9 months is that like it is so easy for self work to get, maybe this is a me thing, but to get very serious.
I mean, even today on our phone call, I said to you like a pattern that I've been in it, and this has been a really negative pattern for myself, and um, is only identifying the. I've only been identifying the negative feeling. So like even though like when I notice like throughout the day like I'm like I'm happy there's a lot of greatness around me and I have not been paying attention to those things. And so like a practice that I'm bringing back to as of today is uh honestly looking at like hey my needs in this way are being met and in this space I feel like this in this space, I feel like my needs are not being met here, and I do have these needs, but also let's acknowledge the needs that are being met.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having space to see what actually is working and like
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging that, and like it doesn't have to be so serious or so forceful all the time. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just so easy that I get wrapped up in like all of a sudden feeling serious. And I had a moment in my teaching, really when I stepped into the room to teach today, where I was like, I'm not, I can't, I'm tired of not be feeling fun, and we're gonna bring some fun even though this shit is hard.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so like if there's time, then there's space for levity, right? We're not coming to you like we're giving you all of the information that we need and you need to implement it and you need to get serious about it. Yes, having a relationship with yourself is something to take seriously, but geez, it doesn't have to be so heavy all the time, and you can share the load and give yourself more space. And we want to hold that container and like facilitate that. That's like
Mm-hmm.
what the self-study program is for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, it's so beautiful because it's what we've been doing for each other for the last 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just an opportunity to like share that in a bigger way. And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that like, especially after last year, like the whole world changing and the way that that like changed our relationships and our relationship dynamics, um, is that it really like we've all really leaned into like internet culture more. And like what that comes down to is like I can do it on my own, I can figure it out on my own, I will do it on my own, and I'll do it now. And that's just like so isolating. And then when the self-work feels heavy, it just feels like heavy and alone. And like we weren't
Yeah.
meant to do life that way, right? Like
Well, and
everything is.
what you're
Go ahead.
speaking to too is this like very full circle is like the internet is this patriarchal, like you look at the TikTok, or you're the creator of the TikTok, you create the TikTok, you put it out, you get a lot of positive feedback back, and it's just this like cycle of this. And then what we're basically asking you to do is take your self-work offline. It doesn't have to be for the internet. And you know what? My self-work has been for other people for a long time. And and it starts to get performative. It starts to feel inauthentic, and it starts to become something that is
It's
like you're
unfulfilling.
waiting for the approval of other
Mm-hmm.
people. And let
Mm-hmm.
me tell you, from experience, when you stop getting that, that is soul crushing. And then you're like, where am I? Who am I? And who gives a shit? That is when your self work goes to work.
Mm.
And like, if one thing I know about 2020 is a shit ton can happen in 10 months, and what we're coming into in 2021 is not going to be shit. I feel like we've just been waiting for like shit to go back to normal, and that is not ever it. Now that we know, and we have to move forward. And this is the container for moving forward. This is the container for shit in the world is going to continue to be hard. Shit in the world is going to continue to be heavy. We can be in all of that together. And something that we talk a lot about is like creating sustainable practices so that when the world is heavy, which it always is heavy, we can sustainably engage in that. Like, um, white people on the internet went big and hard and heavy performative allyship, or wow, it went wild with the performativeness. And then all of a sudden everybody crawled under their sheets and they were like, I don't know how to engage with this anymore. I don't want to engage with this anymore. I'm going to go back to what's normal and what's comfortable. And what we're inviting you to do is go, what's normal and what's comfortable actually isn't okay for me anymore. I have to move forward.
Yeah,
This
and
is
like
that opportunity.
the remedy to fatigue, which we're all feeling, the remedy to fatigue is not to rewind because we cannot go back. It will never be the same. And that's
Hi,
always
Mom.
been true.
Hi,
That has
Joey.
always been true. But like the remedy for fatigue is keep showing up and learn to nourish yourself better in the moment and through it, right? Sustainably. Like, how
Hmm.
do I show up for myself and show up in the world? Because I can't just quit.
Hmm.
And sustainability takes lots of practice, lots of study, lots of trial and error,
Lots of help, lots of
lots of
accountability, lots of
support.
support. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And like, sorry, I'm about to switch gears like a little bit, but not totally. Like seeing Joey on here makes me want to make sure that we drive home the fact that when we were talking earlier about Bear's work, when we say the masculine and the feminine, we don't mean your gender. We mean the energy surrounding it, and we also mean um, that is a complete and full spectrum. That things can happen. Um, Men can be in extremely feminine, open energy. Women can Cisgendered women can be in extreme patriarchal, masculine. There's no. I just wanted to get clear on the gender piece.
Yeah, totally. Well, and I think
That.
too, it's like, um, and I've thought about this some because I don't know what the replacement word would be, right? But it's like, uh, it's like another, like we've talked about labels a lot this week, on our previous IGTVs, and how labels are important to serve a purpose in the constructs of the systems that we exist in. And it's kind of like that, like using the binary to explain the energy of something that really is beyond the binary,
Mhm.
you know? Yeah, and so in no way is like the self-study program for women because it's a feminine form practice. All we
Mhm.
mean by that is that it is more spacious, that it is patient, that it honors cycles and intuition, that it is human and relationship driven instead of transactional. It means that's what we mean by that. Maybe we should just come up with our own word for it.
Okay, great. We'll think on that. Yeah. So that feels important to
And that's what the,
drive
okay,
home.
great. And like what you're speaking to is like the self study in action, right? Like at one point in my self study journey, there was a time where I was like, wow, this really, really resonates. I get it. Feminine is this, masculine is this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Feminine energy will save the world. Um, and then the deeper I've gone, the more it's like, okay, I don't know if that language, like I get it, the um the learning or like the piece is still there, but the language isn't serving me anymore. Like that is the self-study, like staying present
Mhm.
with yourself and noticing, being in the practice of noticing the moment when something doesn't resonate just right anymore and adjusting.
Mhm.
Different than, and that's what we mean by like feminine form also, is like different than this is wrong, now I have to fix it.
Mhm. Yeah, and okay, that kind of like, okay, something for me is that, and I've always felt this way. I went to an all girls high school, and we had a brother school. I have always felt, like anytime I'm in a group of like all women, I've always felt like the most masculine. And that to me has always felt like there's something not woman enough about me. And then this practice of the self-study is going, wow, these like traditionally masculine traits that I carry are a beautiful, soft, and wonderfully, powerfully loving part of who I am as a person. And then so like those labels and even, you know, the binary of it, I got to put down um, because I'm just as feminine as I need to be, and I'm just as masculine as I need to be, and my gender is, you know,
Really, yeah, gender is irrelevant.
irrelevant. Gender is irrelevant, and not not to you as a person. That's totally great. If gender is not irrelevant to you as a person, same thing with like your sexuality. That doesn't have to be that doesn't have to be irrelevant. And what if it were a little bit?
Yeah, like what it, like what you're really saying is like you get to be all the pieces of Kate.
Hmm.
That, like you get to express the pieces of Kate.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and it goes through these like phases, you know. It goes through these I learn something new and then I try something new and then it gets to go through a phase. And one thing that I have loved about the internet this year is the way that people are like, there's been like a, hi, allow me to reintroduce myself. I've done some growing. Allow me to reintroduce myself. And that's been a lovely practice for me to go like, oh, we need to talk about consistency sometime this week, by the way. It's on the list.
We have consistently mentioned that we will talk about consistency.
Yes. Hi, Jess. Yeah, but anyways, I think I'm on a little bit of a tangent, but
No, I love what you're no, I
okay.
love what you're saying because you mentioned the word phase and then you're saying like people reintroducing themselves and they're like, "Oh, I've grown in this way." And so like we were talking about phases in the fall because I've been going through a phase.
I've been in a phase.
I'm in a phase. And like I feel like growing up like, "Oh, that person's in a phase" was like a negative thing. But it's like life is a series of phases.
So let's get present with the phase. Like, okay, what's here now? What like can I tell you about the phase I'm in? Let me tell
Well,
you about this
Well, and also, like, what if it didn't have to be like that? What if it could just be like, this is who I am. This is the
right
expression
now.
of who I am right now.
Hi,
You don't
Haley.
need to call it anything. This is
Yeah,
just this is your experience of me right now looks like this. In the same way that it's like your experience of me right now is that my nails are pink. Yesterday, your experience of me was that my nails were green.
true. Yeah.
And what happens when we have a program like the self study program that lasts 9 months is that it's possible that as a person you may move through many phases and get to show up as yourself over and over again every month and be received and held and like live into what your expression of you is at the moment without trying to like fit into a box of like defining who I am and that's how I have to go out into the world and be for the rest of my life.
Hmm.
It's that idea of like I'm gonna find myself and then I'll be set. Then I can
And
like do my
everybody's gonna
life.
get it because I finally got here. That ain't it.
Yeah. Hmm.
Hmm.
And the way that sometimes I think like we discredit where we are and who we are because we're like not there yet because we're still in this like patriarchal mindset of like I am a project that I have to complete is that we take away the joy of being who we are in the moment.
Hi, Travis.
And so like part of that is like I was talking about, I'm going through a phase and I love who I am in this phase.
Yeah.
And I get the chance to enjoy that because I have containers in my life that hold space for me to keep showing up without needing to like fit into an old version or fast forward to a new version.
Hmm. Am I back?
Yes.
Okay, good. Um, yeah, and something, oh, the phases. Okay, all week long for the past 2 weeks, we've been talking about integrating these pieces. Like, okay, earlier, even on this just chat, I was talking about the negative and the positive feelings, right? Integrating those pieces, right? Like, I have kind of this like way, like they all exist inside this one body. Like all of these phases that we go through exist inside of our bodies. And of course, like shit comes at us of the world, like in all the time. And so like of course these things are gonna shift around and move and like having the courage to like express what's here now in our body is wow, this like freeing kind of way of being. And like I've been thinking a lot about like I have kind of and I think I've called it this before, but I've been feeling a little bit like I kind of have this like hate character that like some people know.
Mm-hmm.
And who told me this? Did I tell it to you? I think you said this to me. You were like, that's just like also part of who you are. And there are times when like and I think of her as a character, to be honest, because I think of her as being like really happy and bubbly. And for in my self-work, like I've discovered like toxic positivity. And I think part of this version or this character or whatever I'm talking about myself, in the past, she has been kind of toxically positive. She's been can't talk about the hard stuff, really always flips it around to the silver lining, like, sorry you've had a shit day, but you know what, it's going to be good now, like that kind of thing. And she no longer does that because she's learned better because she is who I am. That doesn't mean that I'm always um, happy, but it does mean that like joy happens sometimes and I get to be Kate in joy and she is not inauthentic, just how Kate in her bed for depressed is also not inauthentic. Both of those pieces are not inauthentic. They are all part of who I am and I get to embody all of those pieces.
Yeah, and learning to do that, to hold the dualities of who we are, is a practice that takes time and clear, brave containers to practice in.
Mm-hmm. And in being in relationship with people, like, so Ruby, if you're used to only experiencing Kate in one way, like say we meet during like a specific phase of me, say you meet me then, that's who you're going to understand me to be. But within relationship, both you and I will have these different phases. And so part of your job as somebody who loves me is to go, hey, I'm trying to understand where you're at right now. And part of my job, who loves you, is to go like, hey, Ruby, I feel like maybe I should communicate where I'm at right now so that you have a better understanding of what's going on here in our space together.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, okay, neat. We're
Yeah, and
cute now.
we're so cute. Always cute. Every phase, always cute.
See, and I haven't felt that way. And something that I love about our relationship is that I think I've never felt cute. That's not part of anything I've ever felt. Um, my anything that I've worn or like the way that I look has always felt like some kind of way I've been having to perform my gender. And part of what us being in relationship with has given me the opportunity to explore my body instead of perform my gender. And I love that. And honestly, I have had so much fun. Today, uh, there's this fantastic woman in Nashville who runs a company called oh my god, Dissocialite Designs. And so she has a lot of like mental health like t-shirts and stuff like that. And she posted a thing today that was like, I will never forgive coronavirus for taking away one of my hot years. And I responded to her and I was like, oh my God, same. Because I've been feeling like, I feel just like really good in my body right now. And I'm moving less and eating more than I ever have done before. And part of me, and I said this to her, and I haven't checked my DMs to see if she's responded yet. Her name is Bryn Plummer. But she said, or what I said back was like, also though, maybe coronavirus stuffed me in my house, in my own room with my own clothes, in my own body, and was like, get to know her. And so maybe coronavirus and quarantine has given me one of my hot years. Yes, Bran. Megan, did you see that post today that she made about coronavirus taking away a hot year? That's what we're talking about. But like, yeah, like I've never experienced my body in a way that I have experienced her this year. And part of it is because I am playing, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's like if we want to talk about beauty and health secrets,
Get messy with it.
let's talk about learning to like yourself and embody who you are and express that, and people love that shit.
Yep.
That's the hot shit.
And you know what else I'm not getting at home, like in any of that, is like there's no I do I there's no like male gaze in my home. I do live with a guy, but that's not the relationship that we have in any way. So there's no male gaze at home. There's nobody in my home where like sexual attraction or performing my gender is gonna throw me for a loop. It's like only me. Liking myself without lash extensions has been a practice. That is so real, right? Like we get used to seeing ourselves in some kind of way, and then
Always
we
filtered, literally always filtered, literally always filtered.
that is one that I think about all the time. And the other day I was on somebody's stories and I was like, wow, she looks incredible today. And you know what, Megan? It was exactly because I noticed her lashes. And I was like, wow, girl, your lashes, like, wow, they look great. And then she was like, it's a filter. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know it was a filter. Like, that's where we're at with each other and with people. And you know what's not filtered? My room. No filters in my room. And getting to explore my body in that way is wild, has been absolutely wild. I mean, look at these of me. I have a whole corner that is my body, photos of my body. And
Well,
I love that.
and that's why, like what we both have a lot of, because we're in the wellness industry, we have a lot of experience with like fitness, with like healthiness and food things. But that's why what like the self-study program is none of that, because none of that can be a substitute or give you fulfillment in the same way that getting to know yourself and expressing yourself freely just does.
So you have 9 months with us and with other people who are committed to the practice of self exploration and self practice. Those things cannot be done in 3 days. They cannot be done in a 4 week program. It cannot be done, I mean, whatever, 9 months, but also commit to us for life.
Every year for 9 months.
Every year for 9 months.
You know you want it.
But it's like also like what we hope is that after like 9 months, you have some tools in place, you have some relationships in place, you've like created some shared language with your friends, with your partner, with whoever it is, and then that work can continue. And also like something that is really important to note is that like you're gonna grow out of me and Ruby. The weekly time commitment. Yeah, Megan. So let's talk about like it's a whole 9 months long program, right? And then so for each month we'll be kind of like working with a theme just so that there's some kind of like
Cohesion.
thank you. And so we'll meet on what is it, the third Wednesday? Ruby, this is your area of expertise with the schedule. So I'm gonna just
Oh, you're
let
just
you
gonna
go
turn
with
it
that.
over to me.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
just gonna turn it over to you.
I'm 98% sure it's the third Wednesday. It's definitely a Wednesday evening, once a month, from 6:30 to 8:30 on Zoom in the container of the group. So those meetings is when we will introduce the new theme, recap the previous theme. You will connect with each other. They will be recorded. Obviously, you get like a little bit more out of it if you can be present, but also if that time doesn't work, you can get the recordings, because we will also be on Slack as a community, and that's where weekly, Kate and I will be offering you a weekly challenge, daily journal prompts, and like content relevant to the theme. As far as like a weekly time commitment, it's totally up to you. I would probably say like, I don't know, like giving yourself, we'll probably recommend like 30 minutes a day. Like by the time you journal, drink a glass of water, maybe meditate or move your body or something, like 30
or
minutes
connect
a day.
with whoever your buddy is
Yeah,
for
or
that.
connect, or connect with this community. So like 30 minutes a day.
And it's also like your self study. So like the time commitment to the group is the Wednesday night, and then the the conversation like back and forth as we do that in Slack, and then the time commitment to you.
Totally up to you. And as far as like the time commitment to the program, that's not 30 minutes a day. That's like the call once a month, and then maybe you check in on the Slack 3 times a week. You type something, so that could take 30 seconds. And the rest, yeah, is totally up to you. If you want it to be 10 minutes a day, 30 seems like reasonable. You could be 3 hours if you have that kind of time.
And we've also like scheduled it so that we'll grow into it. You'll grow into it.
Very doable, yeah.
Very doable.
Because we want it to be, right, we know it's 9 months long because we want it to be like getting to do life together. And we need practices in our life that are very doable. I need the doable in my self-study practice.
Because let me tell you what I have enough of in my life is, how the fuck do I do this?
The impossible.
Now I have to figure it out. Yeah, like, God, the things that feel not doable. I have enough of those kinds of things. Yeah, as far as the time commitment goes. And then, and also part of the self-study is, what does it feel like to intentionally take a week off from this? I'm not going to open this or look at this for a whole week, and I can come back to it. What does it intentionally feel like to choose to do every other day? Do this.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and we're gonna
what are these kinds of like sustainable practices for you?
And again, we're going to talk about consistency later this week. We're running out of days of the week. But like, something about consistency is like, consistency doesn't have to mean the exact same amount of time every day for the 9 months. Consistency is working with yourself to take the time and or space that you need to meet yourself and create a sustainable practice. So that might mean like you have a busier week at work one week, so you do 10 minutes a day. You have a lighter week, you do 30 minutes a day. You go on vacation, you take a week off.
Great.
Accountability being different than expectation.
Wow, absolutely, yeah.
Wow, we can really talk.
Who's surprised? Bye, Megan. Love you very much. Thank you for being here. Ruby, love you very much.
I love you very much.
Thank you for being
here.
You're doing great. You know, somebody yesterday, Jess Thompson, yesterday, we were teaching class at the gym. What day is it today?
Wednesday.
LOL, this must have been on Monday. But she goes, I said, I don't know, I think she said to the class, she was like, y'all are doing great. And then she was like, wow, that's exactly what Kate says. And I was like, if one thing I'm known for is telling people that they're doing great, I am not mad at all.
You're doing great.
You are too, Ruby.
If that's what you're known for, if you're known for telling people they're doing great, you're doing great.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.